first time in history, the Noahide laws are being formally and globally established, complete with a founding charter, rabbinic court, regional councils, a financial infrastructure, and the state of Israel's formal recognition. This November 2026, tens of thousands of non-Jews who follow the 7 laws of Noah will send delegates from 6 continents to Jerusalem for the first International Congress of the Noahides. Now, this is not some little convention. They are founding a global religious movement. The Noahides, or children of Noah, are non-Jews who keep 7 laws Jewish tradition says God gave all humanity. Don't murder, don't steal, don't commit sexual immorality, establish courts of justice, don't eat flesh torn from a living animal, don't curse God, and don't commit idolatry. Now, it's their definition behind that last one that Christians need to understand. The foremost codifier of Jewish law ruled plainly that worshiping Jesus Christ as God is idolatry. That's the Noahide classical foundational position. So this November, a rabbinic court is being formally chartered in Jerusalem to govern Noahide law for followers worldwide. That court, the financial system, the regional councils, all of it operates under that same definition of idolatry. An institution with the state of Israel's formal recognition is being built, and a legal standard that classifies the central act of Christian worship as the very thing it forbids. Now, this may seem like a small issue, but the violation of the Noahide laws, idolatry especially, means capital punishment by decapitation. Now, I believe this Noahide movement has the potential to grow into something much, much larger. Gentiles and Jews are creating a formally recognized religious court in Jerusalem governing a fast-growing global movement, starting with the position that the way Christians worship is forbidden. Now, on the final day of that Congress, 6 continental representatives present the signed charter to Israel's president himself. So whatever you make of that, it's most likely worth watching closely as we inch closer to that Congress in November. For the first
All right, Shalom. First, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahushai, Ba'Hashem, Rakakadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Salutation to all the brothers and infuses out there. Onto the like foreigners from the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Shalom in Hebrew, which means peace. And, as you could clearly hear from this guy's tone and everything that he's speaking of, this is something that we've been talking about for a long period of time. Because we observe things and how things are moving, and the way things are moving accordingly. I tried to do this before I got interrupted, but accordingly, this is right in the forte of the New World Order, because now you're dealing with draconian laws for people that doesn't agree with the current position. All right, and clearly now you can clearly see how they have everything, how they have everything going, and no, this is how they got the majority of people. Every single person on the planet Earth right now is a descendant of Noah and one of his sons, and within one of his sons, everybody separated. All right, the Lord separated everybody, and this is why you have 18 nations. Okay, that came down the line, and that is how the Lord solidified the earth today. Everybody comes from Adam, but everybody is not of that lineage. So Noah and his 3 sons and their wives, and Noah and his wife, they were a representation of the elect of that time. All right, and they had to repopulate the world. So this proves several things. Okay, one, matter of fact, he already broke some of them down. And one of the main things that it proves that these laws that was given were universal laws. In other words, it was for all people on earth to do. This is where when you read about Abram and Sarah and how they went to Egypt, and then when um, Pharaoh at that time took Sarah to, to be one of his wives, when he had that dream, and the angel told him like, look, don't say nothing evil against Noah, give him back his wife and all that. And he got upset at Noah for not telling him, that was his wife. But the main thing was why was he truly upset other than in the dream? It was because it was a thing called adultery, a universal law. Another universal law, which was what happened in Sodom and Gomorrah, right? Why would the Lord judge Sodom and Gomorrah if they didn't know no better? Because they knew better. All right, they knew better. They knew they was not supposed to do that. Yet they was burning in their lust towards one another. So the Lord judged that place. All right. My other main thing was done. What he made mention of. Oh, thou shalt not murder. Oh, no. I'm sorry. That's too easy. Thou shalt not steal. But yet the same people that's trying to invoke this particular law is the same ones that's raping, robbing, and stealing to this very moment, and murdering to this very moment. So the hypocrisy is just it's surreal. But they want everybody else to be playing by the rules while they play above the rules, and that's a thing of Esau. This is why the Lord said this. I was gonna get that, but Genesis, but he already said it. Psalms 50 and 16. It says, "But unto the wicked, the Most High saith, What hast thou to declare my statutes, or that shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth?" So what is laws, statutes, and commandments of the Heavenly Father? But the covenant was a key, and only one nation was given that covenant. Now these people going around claiming that they are that nation that got that covenant is not even keeping a single law. All right. Matter of fact, if anything, they're the heads of all the wickedness on the planet Earth. And what they're intending to do, especially in these next, the way they're planning to do their thing, is to enforce these laws by draconian means. Do as we say, but not as we do. That type of spirit that they have. All right, that's the spirit that they always bear. So the Lord is like, look, what the hell you got to do with my statutes and my commandments? It says, seeing thou hatest instruction. So the same Noahide law that they speak of doesn't it only applies to everybody else because they don't have a problem taking lives. They don't have a problem of executing children. All right, poisoning the majority of the world. Okay, doing whatever evil, demonic, twisted um mindset that they have. They don't mind doing these things. Matter of fact, they encourage those behaviors. Okay, they're the headquarters, I believe, maybe was Sunday. The biggest abominable parade in the world was done by was which was done by them. Hold on, not a show and act up. Un momento. If there was a little issue, the thing I was having problems with the mic. Yeah, they so if they push, they're the ones that took the land and made it the biggest abominable people parade in the world consistently. They go into war with Libya. They go into war with Iran. Yet they still had time to do that. But now they want to tell the world, like, look, we gotta go. I gotta go by these laws. If you don't agree with these laws, we're gonna consider you an enemy only because it benefits them. So they don't follow no laws. They just go by what the hell they want to go. They want to give everybody else the laws, and they're above those laws. That's how they operate. It says, seeing that hatest instruction and cast my words behind thee, when I saw us a thief that consenteth with him, and that has been partaker with adulterers. And that's exactly what those rats that wear the small hats is all about. They're about that life. They're about that abominable, wicked, evil life. So they want the world to be, what's the word I'm looking for? They want the world to be in this state of order, which they're gonna bring in that order. So before that order takes fully in place, they bring in the chaos. They're the cause of the problem of every situation in the world. I remember Apostle Paul Ben told us that anything that goes wrong, blame it on Esau, which it is Esau's job to turn the things upside down. All right. It says that givest thy mouth to evil and thy tongue frameth the deceit. And that's exactly what they're doing. All right. Job 13:4, it tells you that ye are forgers of lies and physicians of no value. When you look up the word forge, the definition of forge is to smear. All right. When you look up the word devil, which means slanderer, so they frame everybody, they slander everybody, they make everybody seeming to be ungodly, while they themselves supposed to be these these perfect beings, the chosen people. All right. It says, thou sittest and speakest against thy brother, who's their brother? Jacob, the true biblical Israelites, which are you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. We are the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They're not. You see what they planning, right? They see what they doing. That's not a thing of a poor people that's coming on the come up. That's a people that's in position of power to dictate, and that's what they're trying to enforce to the world. All right. So they make Jake to be the scapegoat. I was just watching a video of the World Cup, and the guy that Jake was breaking it down and said, like, if you want to know how the world really thinks about, you know, dark skinned people, just watch the World Cup, and you can see the prejudice that and the hatred that these other nations have towards anybody that have that, you know, has what the world consider melanin. How much they hate them. But why? Because there's a worldwide stigma when it comes down to so-called black people. All right, they have a stigma. And the stigma really sticks on is the tribe of Judah, Benjamin, Levi, mainly Judah. All right, mainly Judah. That stigma is really on Judah, tribe of Judah. So why? Because the campaign is black is criminal, black is evil, ugly, all that sort. That's why you have in China what they have. They got this doll. I forgot the damn name of the doll. And they take the doll and they beat the doll up, and it's supposed to be a black baby. All right. So it's not just Esau that have a hatred. It's all these nations have a particular hatred towards Israel, the true biblical Israelites. All right. And all black people are not the same, so to speak. So-called black people, all so-called black people are not the same. It says, and thy slanders thy own mother's son. These things has thou done, and I kept silence. Matter of fact, let me get to the other joint. Revelation 13, sorry, 14. It says, matter of fact, Revelation 13:13, and he doeth great wonders, so that he make a fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. And that was Fat Man and Little Boy, which was the bombs that was done in Hiroshima, Nagasaki in the World War III. Such a devastating thing to see an actual another nation demolish and pretty much destroy another nation, even though that they had requested, they had surrendered, they still dropped those bombs on them. So that wasn't just um, a scratch on history. That was biblically. Why? Because Esau, the so-called white man, mainly the Babylonians here in America, were flexing their power over the earth. Okay, so that was a significant uh, um, point in history. It says, "And deceive them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles." Yeah, that technology. That's one hell of a deception, right? So they attacked from a destructive weapon, which was part of their blessing. Going back to Jacob and Esau, who are also descendants of Noah. All right. But Esau, his blessing is the sword. So the world seen the actual sword. The world actually know who Esau is, but they don't publicly can't say it. Right? It says, which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, which was the Roman Empire. This is the revival of the Roman Empire. Right? It says, saying unto them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast, which was that Treaty of Rome that was established, which was NATO, EU, America. Okay, it says which they had the wound by a sword and did live, because that idea of Rome that had died, but they revived that idea, and we have to understand history. Rome was a powerful empire, all right, that dealt with everything that was in the known world. And one of the main things they had servants, they had slaves. Okay, they branded their slaves. Okay, they did as they wanted to do in the Roman Empire. That's what it's saying. Do as the Romans do. So they worship a whole bunch of different gods, right? It says, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast. Because what? They had the funds, they had the means, they had the necessary things to do to push forward this thing, right? That the image of the beast should both speak, which the image of the beast, we are in that image, which is the New World Order. And part of the New World Order, as we heard, is which is going to say, and cause as many would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And what was the key thing they said? Being decapitated. All right, which goes into Revelations 20 and is it 7 or 6? No, I gotta go up. Revelations 20 and 4. It says, and I saw the thrones and they that sat upon them, and the judgment was given unto them, and I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witnesses of Yahweh Shai. Now the world say Jesus, but his true name is Yahweh Shai. All right. And why this is so significant? Because like the guy broke it down, idolatry. And according to those rats that wear the small hats, they don't even believe in the New Testament. So they right on point with that anti-Messiah system, which the world has been operating in that anti-Messiah system for a long period of time. See, people honestly believe it's just going to come up overnight. We've been in that system. Now they tighten things up. Now they're making things, let it be well known now. All right. So there's going to be men and women, children being beheaded for Yahweh Shai. All right, for not believing in this system, not believing in the AI system, getting the RFID microchip, and so forth. All right, not conforming to this world. They've been transformed. Romans, was it Romans 12th chapter? I believe it's, let me see if I get that real quick. Because it's not about um, lip service, it's about life changing. All right, this is why this whole thing about it, what we do, going from the darkness is going to the light. Romans 12:2 says, and be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove that it what is good and acceptable and perfect will of the Most High. So we're beings that transform. We're not a part of this world. So those that are not a part of this world brings in the biggest threat. So now the enemy has put the goalposts so high that, remember, they the ones that allow this world to be in a chaotic state. Now they want to bring in order once the chaos is at its peak form. I'm thinking of a movie. Oh yeah, The Handmaid's Tale, or The Handmaid's Tale. And when you watch the original film, Apostle Gabor had brought it out, which makes perfect sense. In the beginning of the film, when you watch it, you'll see that Jake was being rounded up and thrown into the van, not the van, the trucks, and never to be seen again. But those that transformed or got into that system, that this draconian system that there was established, what they was doing, there was re-educating people, mainly women. And when there was a scene in the movie when they was confessing of all the things that they did, and women who lived this loose life, they thought that they was doing good and they was being shamed about it. See, they allow you to do all the ungodly behavior that you're doing, but once you do those ungodly behavior and you get accustomed of being a wild beast, that's when they want to bring in that order. And that's exactly what they're doing. Okay? They allowed you to have your liberation and so forth, believe that you're free, do as I will, do your body, your choice, all that madness. And that just applies to women, that applies to all. But now when they're about to turn it up, then they're going to introduce that order, which that order is going to crush many people, because people so accustomed of being beasts, they don't even know what true order is all about. That's why they come in with this Noahide law. And anybody that does worship Yahweh Shai, truly, they're gonna Psalms. What's not Psalms? Wisdom of Solomon is the second chapter. Okay, it says, and for the word of the Most High, which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither have received his mark, which is a charagma upon their foreheads, which one of the main companies, actually one of the main companies that got approved in the world was Neo. And then the one that they try to get approved, which is in the Neo, is in China, and the one they're trying to approve here in America is the Neuralink. When you go look up the word Neuralink in the Greek, it comes up to 666. All right, or in their hands, and they lived and reigned with Yahushua 1,000 years. That goes into something else. But the point of the matter, if you do not accept this new world order system, your life will be forfeiting. All right. Revelations 3:10, it says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation. which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. And this is exactly how they're going to tempt the world. See, they're going to use this religious um, cover up in order to enforce the draconian laws. They will put some into prison. They will behead many once they have them in the possession. The reason why they want to behead is to keep the organs functional. All right. So it will be a quick death, but they'll be able to utilize and harvest the, um, the organs of that said person that they execute. And they're going to lie and basically say they broke whatever ungodly laws that they had in mind. Matter of fact, Isaiah 10:1, it says, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and expect more draconian, unrighteous decrees to take place. All right. Draconian laws is the most harshest laws possible for the most smallest offense. In order to do that, they need to install or start something and allow this thing to go crazy. And once it's crazy, once people cry and whoever survives is crying for some sort of order, then they're going to bring these tough laws. And a lot of people is going to be for it, but not realizing that they themselves is going to be victims of that. It says, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, that right grievous which they have prescribed, to turn aside the needy from judgment, to take away the right from the poor of my people, that the widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless. So these laws they're going to push is going to rob the fatherless and do whatsoever their heart desire. That's like the ultimate end game right there, which they're not going to be able to achieve. Okay, Micah 2:1, it says, woe to them that deviseth iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hands. So if anybody that speak against the rats that wear the small hats and say they're not the chosen, you violated the Noahide law. And by violating that Noahide law, they have the right to put you to death. That's what it's basically is coming down to. The law is for you, not for them. And they want the whole world to do that, which is part of their new world order agenda. This is why you have the Pope. Somebody was breaking it down. The Pope, I believe he's from a Muslim family, or he's a so-called Jew. I can't remember how they broke it down, but it was basically the three major religions, which is small hats, the rock worshippers, and controlling Christianity. This is why they will say you see a lot of stickers on cars. God is one, and you have all these different religious symbols, and they all saying that the Most High is one. That's part of the New World Order agenda, and this is something they've been plotting out from the very beginning. And how this thing is going to be so acceptable, chaos needs to come. That's the only way. All right. So the Lord got Yahweh Bashem Yahushai got this man right where he wants him. When he's about to fill his belly, like the scripture says, then should the Lord rain upon him fire and brimstone. So with that being said, shalom to the elect of the nation Israel. Shalom.